Hello, hello. Let's see. Hello, hello, hello. That seems like we got audio, which is great. Seems like we don't so much have good internet, but do what we can. We're about 5 minutes late, which isn't bad considering the usual technical issues I have when I forget how to stream because it's been so long. Let's real quick get a shareable link and post in the Discords, and then I'm gonna start looking at things. Nope. I need to get another 4 gigabytes of RAM for this computer if I want to keep streaming. Here. We are looking for this guy's got a lot more stuff. Kevin O'Neal's a good fencer from and coach from, I want to say, Texas, but I cannot remember offhand. I don't have my headphones here. Okay, now we're ready to go. These are a semifinals and finals, I believe, from one of the. Yeah, I pull up. Yeah, well, I don't really need to do anything. I just need to get views so I can get ad revenue. So I'm just gonna walk away and just go look at Uplink Epee screen. Hello, T-Powered Robot. Thank you for your constant support. Let's see. This is a 2004 set of bouts from. Don't know what the tournament is actually. Let's see if it says. I'm gonna go through it, talk about it. Apparently, this came out on not DVD, I'm sure on video. And if you got it, you were really lucky to get it. So, you know, shout outs to Kevin O'Neal for posting it and for being generous enough to let us watch it. I'm gonna go through this, talk about what changed between then and now. It's mostly going to be why are they so far away is how that's going to work out. If you don't know my feelings on it. Or does that make it brighter? It's a minus. Oh, that's a plus sign. That's so bright. There are a lot of buttons on this, and they're labeled, and I don't know what any of the labels mean. So we're just going to go with that. We have earned Schmidt, I believe, on the left, and I can't read who it is on the right. But this one's interesting because they're starting out, fairly close. But everything they do is a very committed action. That's so loud. There we go. That's better. Now I'm not shouting over myself. This is a fairly reasonable distance for modern epee. Maybe a bit long, maybe not. But everything they're doing is wait, 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 go. And there's no, I've seen this already, which is why I know what's happening. There's no sort of middle pressure things like you'd see in more modern epee. All of the preps are very in place. And we'll see a little bit, and I'll show you a few examples of what I mean. Not much of a prep there, like a little fin forward, which is honestly very good for what epeists do nowadays, but that was a two tempo action in the fencing coach definition of committed to two actions. Was the epee timing different back then? No, it was the same. They have not messed with epee timing ever, I want to say, since they electrified it almost. They've messed with period, and they've messed with scoring, and they've messed with passivity, but never the timing as far as I'm aware. And now we've opened up the distance a little bit more because I want to get time for the preps. You can see Schmidt on the left looking for some kind of a reaction with the six take, which is big for which would be big for a modern action, and you think the fence on the right would flush into it. But Schmidt sees he's not getting a reaction and just goes straight to the arm. Step in pressure from Schmidt. Not really. Honestly, he's looking for a counter and preemptively going for the parry there. Is what that looks like. We're stepping in to apply pressure. Parry comes, or counter attack comes, and then he's already taking the six. Nowadays, we've realized that actions can be so small you can wait on that six until your opponent gets closer, more committed to it. And by contrast, the counterattacks are now held longer and waited longer so that the early six does come, they're low commitment enough that the fencer counterattacking and attacking can take a disengage. So everything is just later now. And as actions get later, distances get closer. Because if you're not going to do anything far away, there's no point in it. And end of the period? I'm not sure. You can tell this is far distance, even if you're not used to judging epee distance, because they're in fairly normal on guards and the tips aren't crossing at all. And that's a good tip watching to know how far the distance is. Benchfit. Maybe that's Arn's son. Everything I see here says they're just so far apart. But you can see, and they're just waiting for their opponent to come into distance or something. And you can see just as soon as the tips cross, fence on the right comes in and gets a reaction out of Schmidt with that six take. And a lot of nothing again. This is why people thought epee was boring back in the day. Oop. Probably can't see that, which is good, but I just totally messed up my screens. Great counterattack by Schmidt. Schmidt's just really pushing that six prep, uh, trying to lull fence on the right into a sense of complacency. And the fence on the right knows it's coming and is looking for a counterattack into the eventual attack, but isn't quite letting the action. He's going at it too soon. As soon as Schmidt takes a six, he's doing the counterattack, hoping that Schmidt just goes. In a more modern epee game, that counterattack would come out a lot later. Schmidt would take the six, see no reaction, and go, and then the counterattack would come out. What can happen here is that the counterattack comes out, Schmidt takes six, counterattack goes back, and then Schmidt flushes into his dropped arm, his pulling back arm, which is just a death sentence because when your arm's pulling back, you can't do anything. Good parry there though by Stengel. I'm not sure. Once again, a lot of standing in place, not doing much. A little bit closer this time, but there it was that time. It got the counterattack out into Schmidt's flesh. But very passive gameplay from Fencer on the right, waiting for Schmidt to do something, which isn't great when you're down. Schmidt can honestly push and push and push and wait for. Well, okay, that was good action to Schmidt's coming forward. Schmidt goes forward. Fencer on the right counterattack. Schmidt takes a six. Because he's coming forward, he runs himself right onto the tip, which is really what the guy on the right is looking for the whole time. But he's not being very active about drawing it out, except to give bait to Schmidt. Schmidt's really in control of this bout. Striegel, that's close. So honestly, Schmidt has to wait longer. Would be the more modern response. Just to get a commitment out of Stiefel. I've already forgotten the name. And Stiefel has to hold his counters longer so that things like that happen. Let's watch that one again, actually. Six go. Yeah, so this is what I was trying to say. He's got to hold the counter a little bit longer. It's the same six from Schmid and then the flesh, and the counter only comes out from Stiefel after the fleshing starts, and that's when he's really good at getting the touch. But honestly, in a more modern game, that flesh would have started from a lot closer, and so that counter would have been late. Good counter by Schmid to equalize. In a weird sequence, the fencer with the higher score is the one attacking, and not even in a I've lost patience, got to do something kind of a way, and I just hey, I think I can score, and I'm not going to wait for actions to develop, kind of a way. Another basically straight lunge from Schmidt out of what we would call out of distance nowadays. Another one. He's attacking into Shishifo's step backwards, and he's already too far away, so he doesn't have a shot at it. A lot of pressure from Schmid now, but he's not. He's still committing what we would call out of distance nowadays, but also without really um, getting a good reaction out of Fencer on the right. He just takes a six, doesn't see a counterattack, and then goes, or even six goes without even looking for the counterattack. But that gives Fencer on the right time to. That gives Fencer on the right because he hasn't committed to anything. Um, the opportunity to get the late counter in, partially because he's so far at distance, partially because he's doing a two tempo eyes closed action. The last touch was a good one where he mixed up his preps and got a good reaction. I guess that was a foot touch. I don't see the late going off. Oh, see, that's what he can do, regularly. Stiefel has not generated significant offensive pressure. And so Schmid can just keep pushing him back to the end of the strip. Eventually, he won't be able to cheat anymore, and then he can make something happen. And I think he just needs the patience to do it. And this is what we're seeing now is the push takes space into the third. Priority. Let's see if Schmidt can stay patient. Or Stiefel will find some offense here at the end to surprise them for one touch. It'd be a smart game plan. But it's Schmid with the surprise flesh as we close it out. If you don't know who Pavel Kolobkov is, he's the consensus greatest pistol gripper in the world. Just phenomenally good at everything. Just so smooth and fluid. He's everybody's hero. He's your favorite fencer's favorite fencer. Um, it was him and it was I think Jerome Genet, and the consensus was they would fence for 1 and 2, and then if you lost to them, that was as good as winning. No spoilers, but the first time I watched this, I thought Kolobkov was the only one who understood what he was doing with the bout. Um, with his a counter to the foot, not like a blockout counter to the foot. You can see Kolobkov's doing a lot of single action uh, hits to the blade, and then waiting to see what Fernandez will do. Very good sense of distance there from Kolobkov. He's only willing to engage in his terms right now, so when Fernandez goes forward, Kolobkov goes backwards. Fernandez at a distance, Kolobkov gets a very nice counter to the wrist. See Kolobkov, if you remember, Schmid would do a thing, not get a reaction, and then just go. Kolobkov has done none of that. He's been very patient with it, partially because he knows the distance is too far. Or I'd like to think he knows the distance is too far to get anything without a good reaction from Fernandez. So he's just swiping at the blade, hoping to get something. And then when he gets it, he'll go. But he's not going to go until he gets it. Patience is so important. Like that. Fernandez gets too close. Kolobkov takes advantage and goes in. But he's been waiting for that opportunity. He's setting it up. He's not even really setting it up, just knowing Fernandez will give it to him eventually. Fernandez has less of a good sense of the distance and is thinking he can still get that foot touch in. But he's got the capability to make the lunge there. but he doesn't have the capability to make the lunge before Kolobkov can react and get out of the way. So he goes in for the foot. Kolobkov, honestly, a little bit lazy there. Took the parry, tried for a flick counter, missed it. Fernandez went around the parry on the remise. But the first action failed, and I don't think he was trying for the second one. So, still the moral victory for Kolobkov. Kolobkov's like, just does not care. To go back to the foot touch, because I think we'll see it again. Fernandez can hit where Kolobkov's foot is now, but he can't hit there before Kolobkov can get out of the way. And if he goes to where Kolobkov's foot is going to be when Kolobkov takes his retreat, he's overcommitting. Kolobkov will get a counter, which is what we saw for Kolobkov's first or second touch. Kolobkov a little bit out of distance there, trying to just end it out, but Fernandez gets the counter. Just such safe pressure from Kolobkov. He knows how far away he is, and Fernandez just does not. I think the crime baby just never goes away. He's crying out how beautiful Kolobkov's fencing is. You can also see Kolobkov's just a lot smoother than Fernandez is. It looks awkward when he goes for the foot, Fernandez, and Kolobkov's just so smooth with his blade and with his foot, with his feet. Overcommitment from Fernandez. Kolobkov pair of posts or opposition and goes. Such a big step as Fernandez goes down. He's like leaning over. It's not even a great foot touch, but Kolobkov shows him how it's done with a much smoother, more upright, easier foot touch. Good timing there by Fernandez, showing he's got a little bit of fight left in him. Kolobkov with a really good flush there. Surprising Fernandez so bad they couldn't get the counterattack in, even though the initial flush missed. Better there from Fernandez to get the double. Fernandez really trying to push now, but he doesn't have a whole lot. The only real prep we've seen from him is that shot to the foot, and he's not ever really been able to build anything off of it because he's so far away. As a great counter flush from Kolobkov. I'm getting the sense that Fernandez is a very counterattacky fencer. And that can kind of work in this era of far distance, which is where I think a lot of the bad rep of French grippers comes from. But Kolobkov's just not playing at that distance. He's playing at a modern distance of go in and not commit till you get there. Fernandez, you can see it in his body language. He's just totally wiped. He has no idea what to do. Kolobkov too patient to be lured in, too fast to be hit like that, too far away to be hit like that. And Fernandez isn't or can't close the distance. That's another, they don't do that much, but it's a very modern style of It's a two tempo flush. Kolobkov flushes knowing he's out of distance. Fernandez parries, and this touch blew my mind the first time I saw it. You guys got to watch this again. I can't. I can't. We got to watch this one more time. This is insane. Kolobkov counters a foot touch with a foot touch. Look at this. 1-1. It is the coolest touch I've seen in a decade of watching a ridiculous amount of fencing. I forgot what I was talking about before. Oh yeah, the flush before that was also an insane touch. I didn't even realize the first time I saw it. It's Kolobkov flushes, knowing it's going to fail because he's out of distance. Fernandez counters. Kolobkov takes the parry, gets the touch. But that foot touch right there, just absolute nonsense. I've never seen anybody counter a foot touch with a foot touch before. I don't. And Fernandez's whole game is built around this foot touch. This is his whole offensive game. And Kolobkov's gotten 4 foot touches, and Fernandez has gotten about none. Which is swag mode. That should be a Kolobkov touch. Yellow flush from Kolobkov to close it out. Let's just see Fernandez has some good humor in this. Sometimes it's just not your day, and you're just privileged to have a front row seat to your opponent. Not just in Epee. I've heard people talk about playing Federer the same way, where you don't even feel bad about getting whooped. It's just you got a front row seat to greatness. Kolobkov's been lazy a little bit here. Kolobkov finally decides to put him out of his misery. Barbashko on the rate, another one of the great all times. Classic Hungarian epist. Obviously, we're rooting for Martinelli because he's left-handed. These two seem to be a little bit closer again. But the preps are still a lot. So the distance is good, but the preps are bigger than you would get nowadays. Where if somebody came in big like Martinelli was doing, or came in as big as Martinelli was doing, then they would just get immediately flushed in. But Bashko is giving him respect on that. And Martinelli is big opening. Bashko's coming in with another prep. And Martinelli's countering into that. That touch pisses me off, or that non-touch, because It's 2023. As with an excellent counter from Boschko, and this is 2004, and now it's 2023, and we've watched people fall off the ships and almost get hurt, and we still have the race final ships because fuck the athletes, I guess. Martinelli taking six and one can only assume is looking for a false opening. Italians nowadays are just much crazier in how they fence. A lot of weirder styles, a lot of more smoke and mirrors as well. But here it's much more toned down. They're very close now. They're very good touch by Boschko. Um, and honestly, that's a very modern distance. They're just not quite sure how to deal with it as well as we knew nowadays. This looks like Hungarian writing on the wall, so I think this must be in Hungary. Good foot touch by Boschko. I'm trying to think about what the preps are looking for. Uh, it is Budapest 2004. Um, I was trying to guess without that, obviously, because I can't read, which is why I'm streaming instead of writing. They have chat reaction. I wonder what they do. Um, I don't know what that did. If you saw hearts on your screen, let me know. Martinelli still looks like he's creating false openings for Boschko to attack into. Boschko not really biting though, and not really doing anything of his own, except waiting for Martinelli to do something with a really good hand pick there. On the stream chat. Okay. Okay. Well, hearts to you, TPR, for being my biggest supporter. Um, Kind of messy preem from Boschko. I think that's the most modern thing is that now, if you look at like a Nick Zhang or a Jonathan Cohen or a Gaetan Bia, they would be taking a four there instead of a preem. You have Marco Fisher versus Sen. I don't know. I'll say it eventually, probably. I am going to try, no promises, to stream as much as I can this week so we can watch Worlds together. But no promises because I like being alone and reading a book and not doing anything that involves other people. Usual stuff. Should I try to make the fencing video larger on the screen? Like it's in like an awkward place right now. I think I will. Good flesh from. No. There we go. Good enough. Yeah. There we go. Convenient letterboxing. All right. French guy on the left, fencing with a French grip, fencing very French. Where the Italian guy was always looking for a parry. He's very straightforward with it, hoping to get some kind of a reaction with a bit of a tip pressure. We have Fischer from Sweden. Nice to see that the Swedes have never changed their leg pattern. It's a pretty cool one as far as they go. What I do like is the Frenchman is pausing, looking for a reaction in a way that the other fencers, except Kolobkov, really weren't. Fortunately, Fischer, with a better sense of distance there, lures him into close Jean, maybe. And gets a good counter in as he's waiting for a reaction. Jean gets one of his own back. A bit better sense of the distance. Shout out to Siemens for sponsoring videos and Beres for sponsoring the tournament. I don't know what either of them do, and I don't even know if Beres is still around. But talk about, support fencing sponsors so they keep supporting the sport. I knew who sponsored either of these guys, I would tell you. But I haven't the foggiest. Get back to a bit of a farther distance now. Jean's probably more okay with that than Fischer is, even though Fischer's ahead. Jean's whole game plan is going to be about salvaging doubles from inopportune situations. To that end, he's not going to be willing to overcommit to anything, which you can see as he falls short a few times there. He's trying to hit Fischer, but Fischer's not giving him what he needs. He's not going to overextend like Fernandez did earlier. Siemens is a German company that focuses on automation and manufacturing. Right. Not really something that your average consumer will be looking to buy. But if you are in manufacturing or you are in robotics, go check them out and mention that 20 years ago they sponsored the Budapest Grand Prix. Good counter from John. That is the most French touch you'll ever see. The small step forward. Fischer flushes. Um, Jean gets a counter that he feasts on. I've seen the name around, but never anywhere that I'd be buying things. I think he got him on the wrist there as he came in. Really nice, really good point control from Jean. I can't even tell if that's supposed to be 3 letters or 4 letters in that last name. Foot touch, I believe. Back at it again. Oh, another wrist touch. 3 in a row for Jean to equalize. That's a French gripper's French gripper. Left-handed. That's what we like to see. Another place where Jean just refusing to overcommit and loses an opportunity at a touch for it because he's not willing to take the risk, which is not necessarily a criticism. It's part of his game plan is to be safe like that. Um, to go back to our original topic, one of the things you won't see in a modern epee bout is how early Fischer goes backwards. Distance is open, and is reacting to every first step by Jean. And in a more modern bout, he'd be waiting a little longer. Yeah, exactly the kind of double we were talking about, where it's to Jean's advantage to get it. Fischer tries to jump at him to get a reaction, and you're never going to get something like that from a guy like Jean. 7-7. Jean has now stopped trapping entirely in favor of taking space and waiting for Fischer to attack and hoping to get a counter. Oh, he looks young. Very well composed for somebody who looks that young. Either that or he's just got a baby face. That was a really good bait by Jean. With a little bit of a step forward, Fischer flushes, Jean disengages, counterattack to the outside of the arm. Fischer finally gets one through, although I don't know how much of that was just smashing at the door till it opened versus actually a different setup. Back to normal. Jean's found his distance and gets counters, and Fischer had it earlier, but I'm wondering if that was just Jean miscalculating, and now Fischer needs to change it up. Not just hanging out there, waiting for Fischer to come at him. And now that he's got the lead, there's even more pressure on Fischer, and Jean can be even more comfortable. Jan? Maybe it's Jan. Oh, acting like there's a yellow card for bell punch, that looks like. It's a bit gnarly, but if you're late with a flesh extension, you can get that, so you gotta be careful. Jean has a clear game plan here, but Fischer does not look like he has anything besides try to flesh on Jean step forward, and that's where Jean's getting all these counters from. Is he knows that Fischer's only going on a step forward or worse, and another double that's really all to Jean's favor. You wouldn't really be able to get away with a game plan like that in modern Epee unless we're already better than your opponent. Um, People just get too close and are too good with the blade and when point control across the board to be able to live off of counters like that in modern Epee. You can live off of counters, but you can't be this passive waiting for it. You absolutely cannot be a flesh into their advance kind of an attacker here. Um, Flesh into their step forward kind of attacker here. Fischer's got to be able to set it up and wait for a better reaction from Jean, which he's just not willing to do. Finds the blade there, and it's 13-13, but Jan definitely feels like he's in control here. Another one going to priority. This is all to Jean's favor. It's been a minute. Well, there's been, the Randy Flesh and the one kind of a sloppyish flesh where he fleshed into the counter, but did it with opposition, like a low opposition. I guess he's right-handed to be a low opposition to block out the counter, but we had a lot of doubles. Although Fischer's got priority, which is probably not going to matter. Jones just standing there. Oh, and he did it again. Oh, what happened? Is he showing a is he showing a card? Wow. Blue screened. I've seen one of those in a minute. So I'm pretty sure what happened there was uh, Fisher did something. I'm not sure what. Got a yellow. The yellow turned into a red because it was the second yellow and lost the bout because of it. But should never have gotten that far. And lazy fencing by Jan. Yeah, we just said the name. Jan. Try to be too fancy with it. Schmid, stealing Fisher's successful game plan where you come in with a blade action, but does it cleaner and better and also without a bell punch. Jan still into his game plan of pressure forward and look for counters. Like that. It's got to be so tempting to see a guy like that, but you just know that's all he's looking for. All he does all day is go boop, boop, boop. I don't know if that came on. All he does all day is go boop, boop, boop. You really got to be like. I think another thing you won't see in modern epee anymore is Schmid's going back so passively. You never see somebody go back 2, 3, 4 steps like that at the same time, at the same distance, at the same tempo. They either go back faster and they go back farther, or they go back 1 and then try something, and then 2 and then try something like that a little bit more. Like that last mini sequence. You never want to be moving at your opponent's tempo like Schmidt was doing. Oh no! Both of them are so broken. That was a great action by Schmidt, and it could have been a good counter by Jan. Jan Sport. I named a backpack after him. Forgot where my camera was. Ooh. Too big of an action from Schmid. And another two tempo eyes closed action. He's going beat go, and that's 2 tempos with a big 2 beat. And in a modern epee, you'll see a lot of 1 tempo actions, which is would be a beat, and then look to see what Jean does, and then finish. Just because it's so risky if your opponent responds to the 1 action, the first tempo and the 2 tempo, the wrong way for you. Good flush from Schmid as he pauses between the beat and the flush. Pretty sure you had a chance, but well, he's been fencing longer than 2004. Obviously, we're just watching him in 2004. The chat's to my right, that's why I keep looking over there. This probably comes from a family of fencers who are all really good, and also school equipment manufacturers. Another Jan counter. Just waiting for Schmidt to come at him. I can see why people of this era hate lefty French grippers. Took a long time to figure out what the right answer was to dealing with this, and they're not doing it yet. Lost chat on stream. All right, should be back now. As count gets another counter. Should be back now. As far as I can tell, if I don't have my chat window in focus, eventually we lose connection on the stream. As Jan tries two counters, and then Schmidt goes. Yeah, if I don't have focus on my chat window long enough, we lose it on stream, even though I can see it in the YouTube studio. So thank you for letting me know. Yeah. Schmidt going in on the blade, getting close in and doing a little bit of infighting to equalize. What I think you'd see in a more modern touch there would be a shot to the arm or even the wrist after that. Two, and then like a quick little boop there to the wrist. This is more modern now with how close they are and how close they're getting to touching. And well, you would never see a flush there because Schmid would know that he didn't need to flush from that close. He could just extend his arm. Oh, good counter by Jan. Oh, really good by Schmid. Jan flinched just a little bit. Schmid went straight through faster than he could get the counter out. Very well done. Double there off a Schmid beat and a Jan counter. Which is the same deal. Jan wants those touches. If all he gets is counters and doubles, that's his whole idea. Another double. Schmid's going to lose one of these soon, and Jan's going to equalize, is my call. It's been 3 doubles in a row. Doubling out not usually a good idea, despite how often people talk about it. You can do it. You can usually get touches some other way, which is a little bit more reliable. Like Schmidt's trying to double out, maybe. I don't think so, but Jan is just milliseconds every time from getting a counter and equalizing. So Schmidt would much rather have a single and get like that. Schmidt would have much rather gotten a single in one of those last 4 doubles and had a bit more of a buffer. If anything, now Schmidt seems more relaxed that he's given up the lead. You get another bout going to 13-13, 14-14. Maybe we'll even get another one going to overtime. Epee definitely takes longer in these bouts. Oh! Really, really good touch. Watch that again. I think there was a beat there. I think there was a beat there. Yeah. John, tip up. Schmidt, not the 2 anymore. This is a much faster 6 beat. Straight to the shoulder. Really, really excellent situation awareness there by Schmidt. Even though a 2-tempo action, a really fast one. Schmidt losing a little bit of patience there. He's got a lot of ship to work with. He's got to be really careful about the counters. Oh, and he finishes them off. Oh, that's not what I want. That's not what I want.
This is the second bout in the 4. It's Kolobkov versus Bochko.
Good enough.
What's that? Lots of people, but I kept it safe. Don't worry. Yeah.
I lost my chat window. And yet it's still showing on the recording. Oh, there we are. There we go. Oh, I got the chat where I want. Oh, I got the chat where I want. Okay, back to the fencing. I'll stop messing with things and making them worse. I will not stop messing with things and making them worse. Who am I kidding? Kolobkov on the left, Bochko on the right. Both of these phenomenal fencers. A lot of subtle distance play, even though from a modern perspective they're a little bit too far apart still. But each step forward is a push. And they know if they overcommit, the other one's ready to punish. Nice little sequence there from Kolobkov. Boschko takes a second back to breathe. Kolobkov does a cool guy strut forward. Um, I think one thing that's missing that's in the modern game that's missing here is an emphasis. My personal theory, my pet theory, is that started by the Italians to focus on um, a technical level of a base technical level of excellence, where if your opponent just can't, if you can get close enough to your opponent where you can parry them but they can't parry you, then you get an automatic touch, and so that shrinks the distance as you're closer and closer. And so while they're both here looking for overcommits, which hasn't changed about Epee, what it means to overcommit has changed. How close you can get without overcommitting has changed because you can still respond to your opponent better because your pairs are smaller and faster. Ooh, good six by Boschko. Good low high by Kolobkov to respond. It's hard to see, so I'm just going to tell you what happened and you'll have to trust me. But there was a little pause after Kolobkov went low where it came back up, waited to see what Boschko did, and then went forward. I have something in my eye. Oh, another one on the foot for Kolobkov to equalize. So another thing that's different here is a lot of times the correct response to your opponent's pressure or prep seems to be do nothing. And that's not much of a thing you can do in modern epee because how close your opponent starts means how close I get on a prep means, oh, as a good flush by Kolobkov to take the lead, means that if you don't respond to their prep, they'll just go right at you and hit you before you can respond to their actual action, just because of how close they are. Cheeky little smirk by Kolobkov. Oh, but Boschko got the touch. Kolobkov doesn't even care. He's got 10 touches to work with still. He's starting to figure his opponent out. High low this time by Kolobkov. Continuous pressure on the bell until Boschko stopped going backwards and then went low to hit the foot. Fun little high-low prep action. Yeah.
Second period. Excuse me, start of the third period. Score is 6-5 Kolobkov.
So fast with the hand. Um, if he can get the reaction from Boschko, or if he can't almost, he'll be able to do whatever he wants. Boschko's got to be 2 steps ahead the whole time. I mentioned in this GP fencing Discord, which you should go check out, fun training exercise where you have your hand behind your knee, and so everything becomes distance games. And that's exactly what Club Cup is doing here, which is insane because this is the semis of a World Cup or Grand Prix. Good touch by Boschko. Yelling advice from the crowd, something's never changed. Club Cup fencing, an interesting, high tempo, active but not aggressive game. Probably because Boschko can do things like that. Um, he's constantly initiating. He's constantly pressuring Boschko. He's constantly going for safe, shallow target like the foot. So he's never really letting Boschko set anything up. But at the same time, last touch aside, he's not ever really committing to anything. He's letting Boschko commit and then responding to that commitment. It's a great way to really keep Boschko on the back foot without playing an aggressive attacking game. So it's safe but active. But a good distance control by Boschko to be able to get that counter out. And we've equalized. Oh, I think Club Cup went around the counter there. Or Boschko's trying to counter to Club Cub's left. Club Cub flushes to Club Cub's right. The counter comes in, but he's already shifted his body out of the way too much. Really well done. Boschko's trying to, probably at his coach's advice, stick his arm out into Club Cub's prep just to get him to think about it. And that's less of a threat to Club Cub than it is an opportunity. An extension is giving your opponent the blade. This is the idea, is you should be able to do that, but Club Cup took advantage of it last time. Very well. Oh, hello. Boschko equalizes. More active with their blade, now awareness of it as an opportunity, as an invitation to Kolobkov. This is the thing my coach goes on all the time about. If you send your blade at your opponent, it's not a threat. It's an invitation to give them the blade so they can do something with it. Within reason. So now Boschko is inviting Kolobkov with that extension and is able to deal with what Kolobkov does afterwards. A really clever way to take control of the bout again. Got him two crucial points right there. Yeah, two. And now he's giving it up, and probably Kolobkov will score again because of it. Priority left. Oh, a double! This is surprisingly aggressive from Kolobkov. I thought for sure he would be willing to wait around for it, especially with priority. Defensive fencer that he is. Another double. You can feel the tension. Bashko fairly relaxed, but Kolobkov
32 seconds remaining.
still pushing. Going for the foot, trying to get something. There you go. Bashko's got his arm out again into Kolobkov's prep actions. And then pulling it back. Everybody gets up. Oh, fastest hand in the, yeah, I wanted to say in the West, Pablo Kolobkov. Pablo Kolobkov was 34 in this bout. That's insane. And he's going to go on defense for another 4 years. Crazy. Such a good athlete. Such a good fencer. All right. Budapest 4.
Gold medal match. Kolobkov versus Schmidt.
Would have been fun to see Kolobkov versus Jan, that counterattacking French gripper. Because I feel like Kolobkov would have ripped him to shreds. Too passive to defense Kolobkov. A lot like modern Epee in a fill your opponent out kind of a way, first minute. But with no passivity, could be the first period. Very far apart, both in a strong absence. A little bit of foot pressure, just closing the distance. A little bit of hand pressure, but honestly, not much going on either way. Kolobkov hopes Schmidt has been lulled to sleep. Schmidt has not been lulled to sleep and gets the counter on him. Hey, if you're watching or you're tuning in, say something in the chat. Let me know you're here. That didn't happen. Oh, you gotta say, I love the 2004 lack of slow mo replay. We aren't missing actions. It's true. It was filmed on a potato, but at least it's the same potato. 3-1 for Schmid. 4-1 for Schmid. Kolobkov wants to go get his touch, and Schmid says, I'll take this one. Kolobkov finally gets one, but just blade work, blade work, blade work. And Schmid can't keep up. I wonder if Kolobkov might not just be a little bit tired. It's been a long bout for him last bout. Of course, it was for Schmid too. No setup there, honestly. Trying to do it off pure timing and lucky to get away with a double. Kolobkov is. Still, we got a lot of time to go.
Second period, 5-3 for Schmidt.
Nice little foot touch from Kolobkov. Let's full screen this. That would help. You know what? You can see the blades here, which is more than you can say for a lot of FIE videos from the mid 2010s, from 2010 up to the 2016 or 17 even. They're filmed in 480 and 720p on YouTube, and you just couldn't see the blades. Here, at least with the black background, it makes it a lot more obvious, even though it's a much worse quality. Schmidt's turn to flush from out of distance. Just it would never be a flush you would see in modern epee. You just started from so far away, everybody's able to punch that nowadays. What touch so deadly? Yeah, I figured it was probably the black background. But you know, FAE paying more attention to video production value before they were doing video than afterwards, which kind of makes sense considering the FIE. Oh, long attack from Boschko, really punishable. Kolobkov takes a little bit too far back to do anything with it though, but it's close. Wow. Trying to punish the counter with the counter. That's a swear word in Russian if you didn't know. Bet means shit. And you're not really supposed to curse on strip, but you know, could be worse. Somebody timestamp that so I can make a clip out of it. Club behaving badly. What was that? 7:30ish. Just a little note to myself. It was a frustrating flush to miss, but still. Um, it's true. In Budapest, they actually did have a final strip with a background and everything. Budapest this past year. Um, but I am thinking more of like the 64 to the 8, where they're just fenced on normal strips, 2 by 2 with no backgrounds. Oh wow! I thought I thought Kolobkov got that, and oh, you wish you had. I wish you also had pre-2013 FIE data, but based on what I've heard, it's literally just lost. FIE didn't keep track of it. Events didn't keep track of it. Gone forever. Which is the guy who runs a stat site. Really painful. 11-11, another double flush a bit from Kolobkov. Oh, fast parry from Kolobkov. Equally fast disengage from Schmidt to pull out a double. The 6, I think, is really Kolobkov's specialty. Although, watching this tournament, it was a foot touch. Good touch by Schmidt. Fell short, almost. But if I saw that right, he was actually put his tip in line with Kolobkov's counter. So Kolobkov ran his hand onto Schmidt's tip. I need to get a Russian translator next time I do this. Yeah. Schmidt kind of teapot in there. Kolobkov um, takes advantage of it, waits out the flailing, and just easy touch for him to equalize. Oh, that should be a. I think that's Kolobkov's. Boschko causes the halt with the turn, and Kolobkov gets to finish his action. The audience agrees. I've never heard booing at a fencing tournament before. That's so funny. I love how much they care. I've never heard booing before. I mean, I booed by myself, but never like an audience boo.
No touch. Bruno Kolokov won strip.
Oh, halt for going off the ship. Okay. So that would have been earlier than the turn. which would have been the first action was a no.
When you said 5, I thought you meant going to the extra minute.
There's what you get when you don't have time to say Blaze Ferris. Blaze Ferris. Ferris. $14-14. Who's gonna break first? Club Club going with a 2. I'm getting Heinz vibes in that he's. Oh! Phenomenal distance control from Kolobkov with a snake bite. Snake bite counter. Really good way to finish it off. What do we got? That is back to San Pedro Alcantara. Oh, we got lots more of old fencing to look at. 1988 Olympics.
First bout in the
That was 2004. Let's do 2014. And then we'll look at this year's. Men's Saber. Men's Saber, Kazan. Men's Saber. Kazan. Unrelated. Oh, hello, that's me. Um, okay. Um, Budapest GP Epee. It's not 10 years, it's 8 years, 9 years. Um, 9 years, but close enough. Just gonna look at the finals from here and then this past year's. Yeah, real meta watch owner, yeah. Um, I do sometimes put them on when I'm working. Oh wow, even Travail. Fencing for France, no less. Is this the semis or the finals? Anamonia Bronze. God, these are names I've not thought about in years. Notably, of course, I decided to record the women, which is a big change from 2004. I'd like to remind everybody that 2004 is the first year women were allowed to fence saber, which is consistently the stupidest fencing fact. This is loud again. Why is this loud again? There we go. Now I can hear myself. Ivan Treveo, who I have forgotten about entirely and I know nothing about. Nikolai Novosilov on the right. Now we have the name, we have an overlay. We have a dark background, which is nice. We have a stage, we got people watching. And we'll do do this one, do this past year's, and then a lot closer already. You can see how far the tips are crossing. Um, a lot less. Yes, I still love the race strip. Um, I'm not in charge. I wish I was in charge. Things would be different. Vote for me for FIE president. Um, a lot more in and out, which is not something I realized in the last one, in the watching the 2004 stuff. Oh wow, great pick by Nikolai. Still a little bit in motion. See, that was something you didn't see in the last one. Chevelle lunged in from out of distance. Novostilov with a very fast, more modern parry of just a twist of the wrist and in, which is not something you ever saw in the 2004 bouts. It was all at the elbow, big actions like this. Yeah, please do not actually vote for me for FIE president. Um, I don't think it's possible to just serve in the FIE Congress and not tarnish your soul. Yep. Parry by Novoselov with a pause. Trevejo falls over, overcommits. Um, and then Novoselov gets the parry. I remember doing an analysis of Novoselov probably 2016-ish, where it was basically he's just really good at everything. He's technically clean, never overcommits, always has a good sense of distance. That was another older flesh from out of distance, and Novoselov just eats it up, which is not something that happened in the 2004 bouts. I was trying to do a two tempo action. Novoselov waits the first, parries the second, holding it longer than they did in the 2004, holding the parry longer. Chevelle with a very extended arm in his default on guard, which is I think a thing that used to be in 2014 and we're just not going to see anymore. It's going to be a lot more like Novoselov with his elbow tucked in back by his body. Good counter though by Chevelle. Much more forward. Novoselov is kind of doing the same thing Schmid was doing in the semis, where he's taking the six, trying to draw a counter. But he's more forward with it now to apply pressure to his opponent instead of just pure open target. Good opposition counter from Cervejo. That's the low high we saw Kolobkov doing. But Novoselov is just a lot closer when he does it. Down. Good. He's really good to get the blade back on target there. That's very difficult. End of the first 6-3. What they didn't do was skip the period in the new filming, because some guy with a camera can do that more easily than the FIE. Leon Paul Mask on the left. Shout out to that one armorer on Reddit who was like, if the rate counter from Novoselov, Gervais once again flashing out a distance. Novoselov is just able to react to it now because he's more aware of the distance and what's possible. Yeah, the one armorer was like, if the bib doesn't go all the way back to the end of the mask, it's a fail. Um, and clearly that's just not true. See, it's a full hat back now. This is also just a video and live stream, but 2004 was an edited video sent out on DVD. This is just a raw live stream. But I don't believe even if in the individual bout videos that they put out on YouTube now, they edit out. They just they cut start, they cut end, and they upload. Good flesh from Novoselov. See, that's the thing you didn't really see much in 2004, except from Kolobkov. Novoselov breaking distance there. Gervais is starting to set up a tempo advances, and Voslov just jumps far back to break the distance and break the tempo and reset. Then he goes forward and Gervais gets a counter, but the tempo breaking is what I'm talking about. This is what we were talking about. Every extension is really an invitation to your opponent. And with Gervais keeping his arm that far out, it's basically a permanent invitation to Novoselov. And that's where he got that 2-in was because the arm is so far out. Also, when your arm's far out already, your only real opportunity to extend is with your feet. Great flip from Novoselov, and a thing that probably wouldn't have happened if Trevejo kept his hand farther back. I'm being very critical for somebody who would definitely lose to him very badly. Like I could make it about, but I would get beaten very badly. The one constant, of course, is there's a left-handed Frenchman in the finals. Even if he is a pistol grip, not a French grip this time. I just learned today that the modern French team, all of the ones who are pistol grippers, use Belgian grips with a very prominent middle finger post. Good touch by Chevea to hold out, wait for Novoselov to get out of his stance, and then punish. Cervejo setting up a pattern, and Vosilov flushes right into it. Um, that sort of extended same tempo actions is a thing you saw a lot more in 2004, and you probably will see none of in 2023. That was better by Cervejo. He's breaking a pattern, setting it up and breaking it a lot sooner. What's surprising to me is I was really sure that those backstraps for the Epee masks were only a few years old, and here we are 9 years ago, and he's got one. Yeah, that's not great. I feel old. Modern distance by Cervejo. Faster to the foot than like Fernandez was. Video replay, definitely a nice positive. That counts, I believe, because his right foot is still on the piece. I don't know who that coach is, but he looks familiar and he's very good. That might be Hugh, not him, the other one, the bald one. That might be Hugh O'Brien. Just in the past year, and this really is just in the past year or two, the FA decided that the strips are now all going to be 1.5 meters, not between 1.5 and 2. Yeah, touch, correct call. And so they have now removed the blue pattern on the edges from the strip. And every time the fences are told, the blue is no longer part of the strip. Which isn't great if you used to be able to feel it out. And it isn't great if you used to fencing on a 2 meter strip. So probably 1.8, honestly. And we're back to the break. Trevejo holding his flesh a little bit, looking for the opportunity, but Novoslav's not giving it to him. And so just a quick counter from Novoslav to get that touch. Fast, fast, fast. Can't really see what happened because video replay, slow-mo replay, but that's a thing. So that's a big difference one. That one is what I want to look at again. It's the two, same two Schmidt was doing, same two Boschko was doing, but it's a pause here. He's waiting, and then Trevejo comes in, and that's when Novoslav gets the parry or post. Schmidt was going one and in, and Schmidt would have gotten hit by that flesh, and Novoslav gets the parry. That's a big difference between then and now. Pretty sure that you agree. All right. (2023) men's final. Gabriel Cimini. 5 people have stolen this one. Same people again. All right. One person has stolen it. Jonathan Cohen of Israel, coached by Angelo Mazzoni. Gabriele Cimini of this is the problem with 2023 Epee is the commentators. A lot more active footwork from Cimini. He's in and out even without responding to what Cohen does. Cohen the same thing. Cohen pushing, but it's never in tempo. It's never boom, 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 boom the way it was in 2004 a lot, especially by Jan. It's boom, 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 boom. A lot less static of a distance too. Both of them are coming in with their preps and then going back out again. And so the distance keeps going in and out and in and out in a way that it just wasn't in 2004. And 2013, 2015 was hard to say because it was such a dominant performance by Novoselov. He was getting every touch he wanted whenever he wanted. 2-0 by Chimini. Remember what we said about extensions being invitations? Chimini is really using that here, where he's far out with the extension. Oh, tough miss by Cohen. He's coming in, arm out, and then pulling back, waiting for Cohen to do something and playing with the distance that way. Much more of an active presence with the arm. Much more using the arm as part of his distance game. Really just Chimini a little bit more on target right now. 6 high, trying to pulls it out so far that Cohen can't get around it. Another big step in by Cohen looking for a pair. Chimini just goes around it. Um, Another slaughter here early, but just the thing to look for is the extreme changes in distance as part of the preps. Back, back, back by Chimini. Just a more athletic style overall. Really, the only one approaching this level of athleticism in the 2004 bouts were Kolobkov, who was ages, decades ahead of his time. Chimini doing big steps, but Chimini doing big steps starting from far out of distance, waiting for Cohen to bite on them. And he does. And then he's just a little bit slow right now, Cohen. This is his first finals, first senior finals, so. Seven 0. And then another forward and back from Chimini to disguise the distance. Cohen flushing out of distance. It's really the same distance all of the flushes in the 2004 were coming at. And Cohen's just dealt with every single one very easily. So that's a big difference right there, is how much closer the flushes have to be. No spoilers, but this bout comes a little bit more interesting than this later. Um, it doesn't. It's not just a one-sided slaughter the whole time. See, this is another thing I was talking about before, where Cohen is coming forward with a fairly consistent tempo, and Chimini is not retreating with that same tempo. He's retreating out and breaking distance, then going forward and then breaking distance. Back, forward, back, back, forward. Cohen really good to set that tempo and then break it at exactly the right time when Chimini tries to counter. Really good backflip from Cohen. But again, it's a good touch by Cohen. Kind of a gift from Shimini trying to reestablish the momentum. But their fencing, even at that closer distance, the later distance where Cohen's third touch came from, they're fencing at like normal fencing, where in 2004 they were going into infighting. I can't remember if I mentioned that on this one or not, but a lot of awkward touches that they wouldn't have. I think I did. Somebody trying to play blade work with him, and it's just not. I think he got the parry there too. That was a really good touch by Cohen. Tactical shoelace tie. I'm not sure who this woman is talking, but she's right. Last fencing skill I have to master is tying my shoe with my glove on. Oh yeah, Cohen trying to focus it more on blade work, but Chimini seems to have adjusted to that properly when he was going to come up with next. But just a thing I didn't really mention before, but a lot more adjustments and a lot larger adjustments here in 2023. And in 2004, the fencers had their game plans, and they mostly stuck to it with small adjustments. Um, Bosco, instead of going beat two flesh, went opposition flesh, and a couple of beat six fleshes. Or not Bosco Fisher, I think it was. Cohen switched it up a lot more. Shimini switched it up a lot more. You need a lot more skills to succeed, and you need a lot more um, variety in your fencing to succeed in 2023 than you did in 2004. If you only have one trick, you're going to get you just people are going to figure you out and beat you. Another six backflip by Cohen, phenomenal. 10-10 and we've equalized. Chimini's a little bit farther away now, I think. And so Cohen's blade messiness is just less affecting him because it's easier to get around and it falls off more naturally. He doesn't really have to move his blade to just slide off Cohen's now. And this tiny blade work that Cohen is doing, that's actually really important. Just did not exist in 2004. It's not at all. It was much bigger actions, twos and sixes and all coming from the elbow, not from the wrist ever. Oh, and there were no backflips. Maybe Kolobkov had one, which is obviously the most important thing. No backflips. How can you have fencing without backflips? Karen Bashir has never been this excited about Epic before. Never will be again. See, now it almost looks like Chimini is taking over the blade work. And look how close they're getting and not committing. Oof. Good touch. Too many figured out the cone pressure and solved it. And Cohen couldn't quite adjust because of that 7-0 lead. But a really good bout, really well fenced. Wait, 2 hours, pretty good stream. Thanks all for joining. I will try to stream most nights this week, depending on what the world's event is that day, and depending on how I feel. In the meantime, come join the Discord and have a good day.